Okay, good afternoon traders. Sorry a bit late today, just running around trying to set up a few things, so I tend to leave things at the last minute, which is not a great idea. Hope we're all doing well today. Can you hear me loud and clear? Just let us know. Seems to be a few people coming in and out, so I don't know if the stream's getting through alright. Just let me know if it's all good. Okay. I'll just wait for a minute there, guys. Yes, all good. No worries. How are you, Linton? Helen, how are you doing? I just see the numbers changing around, so... Anyway, let's get into it. So, welcome to TradeSetup in the live stream. It's the 21st of September. So, going along nicely. The market's not so great today. Still looking for a bit of a sell-off potentially, so we'll go over that in just a minute. What we'll also do, we'll have a look at the sectors today. I just want to go over the sectors, so I'm just having a bit of a look at them before, and they look like a few of them have got the potential to roll over, and of course if they all roll over then the market's not looking good overall. Also, obviously just go through the ASX and what's been happening in the US. All-time highs, they just keep ticking away. I don't know if anyone saw the actually intraday action from overnight. I mean, when you come up and look at where it actually finished up slightly, new all-time highs again, but it got walloped to come after the FOMC release. It got belted and pretty much sprang straight back again, bounced and then finished slightly higher. So by the end of the session, didn't look much different, didn't look like there was a lot of action, but it was just lacked a bit of conviction on whether there was sellers jumping in, knocking it down and then buying it back, to close out, square up at the end of the session. And that's what caused that strong bounce. And then you got your bargain hunters again, just diving in, buying dips, but it's not a convincing close in my book, and I think the whole of the ASX has taken it that way as well. I'm going to go over a couple of other things. I just want to look at the SPY 200 now. Marie, if you're there, we had a good chat with Anne-Marie, this morning and last night, just talking about how to view the opens, and I thought it was a good example. Showing you what an alert we sent out last night. I don't know if anyone's following through the app. If you are, just take a look at the SPY alert from last night. What we're looking at happening. Played out quite nicely today, and I sent out another one just before the market opened this morning, just saying this is what we expect. It was set up beautifully, so probably the only reason I'll let you know is because I'm tooting my own horn a bit, and like any good analyst, I'm just going to tell you the winners. I think that's the style, isn't it? Hide your losers and look great with all your winners. Anyway, we'll go over that as well. So, and then I've got a couple of shares I just want to quickly run over. I may get through all of them, I may not, but I just want to leave it open to a bit of analysis at the end, just so you guys can chuck in something to the chat, and we'll have a bit of a squeeze through it. Now, I'm going to put up my little face again, and admittedly, I do need a bit of a haircut and probably a bit of a trim on the beard, so bear with me, guys. I'm sorry about that. Let's get rid of that. Now we've got what are we now? Down 52, so the market's getting knocked about a bit, to be honest. I actually thought we took out a short on WBC yesterday. Is it Westpac? I keep getting confused. It's Westpac, not ANZ. That's looking good now, but I thought they might have been a bit weaker. That's Westpac there, so I thought that might have been a bit weaker today with this weakness. So I'd like to see that grind its way lower, potentially down to 30. We'll see how we go on that one. Either way, it's not too bad. We've got a few others. Actually, I won't go into that just yet. I'll look at those a bit later. What I want to look at first, I've already forgotten. Mine like a sieve. How are we doing today, guys? Are we keeping an open mind and what's happening here, or are we just... I've got a few rubbish little stocks that are getting belted a bit at the moment, so so be it. What else we got? CL1, that's an interesting one. That we got 1 cent above a stop zone at 325. The low was yesterday, and then it gapped up on the open today, and it was looking quite pretty at the moment. We've gapped up to 347, so that was I think that's our entry. At 347, so a bit underwater on this one, but that's looking a bit weird. Something happened yesterday. I wouldn't be surprised. Just want to see what's going on with that one. Now let's take a look at what I was saying about the sectors. Start off with now what do we got? This is consumer staples. what I'm viewing with these, I just want to go through these because I think they're potentially, what we could be seeing here is a bit of a lower high. And if that's a lower high, then that's not looking weak. You've got this major move down, corrective action here. And if we're running out of steam, you can see a bit of divergence there as well, if anyone looks at that. Is that coming through clear? Is that big enough? Or do you want me to put it, I can make it a bit fatter, You Kiwis out there? That might be a bit better. That's probably a bit better chart. Now you can see we've had these highs up here. It's rolled over, popped back up, and we're getting a bit of divergence up there. You know, we don't look at as much. That sell-off was quite strong. I know the MAs are up, but if this becomes a lower high and there's some weakness coming into that consumer staples, then, you know, the overall market, it sort of lines up with the overall market. Not to say that it will, but this could easily pop high and just prove us wrong. We'll have to see how that one goes. What's that? Consumer discretionary. Looking a bit heavy there at the moment. Still got, you know, you can see the support line coming up through here, and I'd hesitate to say, just by glancing at it, that we've actually broken through. Let me just quickly draw that up. I think we have. It is oversold to the downside. There could be a bit of action on that. So it's taken across the tops. Yeah, it looks like we've just, you know, we've just broken through that. We've got this double top up here, bit of a washout too, and it's sort of, this action's a bit heavy. Wouldn't be surprised if we push down and we start working our way back up. Whoop, that wasn't exactly, look a bit clearer. You know, these little high lows, that corrective action. Don't make it up towards the highs, somewhere around 22, and then potentially roll over, build a lower high, and down we go. We'll have to see how we go on that one. Again, it's just lining up with maybe a heavy market at the moment. Biggest bear in town. You or me? I could be. I'm not. I don't like to think I'm a bear, but it's probably because of the. Is it because of the beard there, Helen? Or what are we up to? Energy. I was actually getting to see. This is an interesting one too. It hasn't, since it got belted a while ago. It's actually looking okay. If you follow crude futures, it's hanging around that 50 market, punched up above 50. So what's happening is that the inventories are higher. They come out a bit higher than expected, which is not good. It shouldn't be good. But then some, I think it was an Iraqi oil minister come out and said that OPEC and non-OPEC countries are going to be working towards potentially extending the production cuts, which buoyed basically crude last night. But, you know, just looking at this energy sector, maybe that's not the best. It doesn't look that great. Just going a quick glance at this here. Don't like that. Again, you've got this move up here. It's starting to get a bit of heaviness up here. You've got a level at 97, and you can see that's just started teetering. Maybe that's a lower high forming in here, and you've got it extended to the upside. So this move up here is quite strong. The buys are quite strong, but they're not getting up towards the 97 mark in the sector anyway. It just seems to be there's not as much conviction as what you may think. I don't think this type of thing is going to happen where it just roll over, we get a big sell-off, because we've already had 1-2 legs down. We could just fall short of that 70 zone, but I wouldn't be buying into that sector just yet. I've got my eye on it. It's just this latest price action to see how it's really grinded higher. Basically from the start of 2016 all the way through to about mid, what do we got there? May this year, and we've had a bit of and we've just taken out this anchor level also. We'll draw that back up. This anchor level through here, that's not a good sign. So there's a few things adding up that we could extend that move down. So if we just draw that out, we'll just take all that off. If we've got the resistance up here, it's hold. We've got that move down. If you project that, if that is a lower high, you project that down. It could bring us in line with that sort of support zone through at 77, but we'll see how that one goes. Maybe energy sector's a bit, and again, that's more weakness to the overall market. Financials. What do we got here in the weekly? Yeah, that's a bit like, the Westpac CBAs, all that sort of stuff. It's had a good push up. Let's get a bit of a longer term. Yeah, grind up here. It's still, there's nothing to say this move down here. What I'm really looking for is that move to extend, continue a bit lower. Maybe get this as a shoulder, a lower high, and start to push down, maybe test down through 62. It may not be the case. It may be that this just gets a bit choppy on the sector, but we get a mixed bag on the actual, on the financials. Definitely keeping an eye on that one there. And we've got pretty much the opposite, a bit of divergence here. Convergence, divergence, whatever you like to say. if you look at that sort of thing, you know, lower low here, potentially only just, or double bottom essentially, and this move down was a bit weaker than the original move down. Nothing to say we can't extend that zone down to say 60, 61, hold the overall trend, and then work our way back up again. But that means the XJO, ASX200, could roll over. What else we got? XFJ, healthcare. Not too bad. It's pretty much the opposite. You know, potentially a continuation point here on the weekly, and that's looking at the same. You know, if we take out these little highs, work through 200, was that 23,000? That's quite a big number. Work our way through up there, then you could probably get some higher lows holding, and that, you know, push up towards 25,000, which means that sector's going to look quite nice if that's the case. So this might be one just to keep an eye on. XHJ, XIJ. Go to the weekly. You know, we're up to the top end of that. That's still, you know, the MAs are up, holding high lows. We get up the top side, that could go on with it. That's information, IT. What about tech? Materials, I think everyone wants to look at. That's longer term. It could be getting a bit heavy up here. You can see both on the weekly, the monthly, the daily is getting a bit extended down here. I would be looking for just on this because we've had a good run up. You know, this sector's done quite well the last few months. Potentially we pop up, build a lower high, and roll over, or we just, if we're not going to do that, if it's not negative, I'd rather see a bit of work done, not just a straight bounce back, you know, back up like this, although that led to a rally. But this is different. We're coming off lows here with this sort of strength. I wouldn't expect that there. If we're going to see something like this, you know, a few more bit of choppiness and then start to push back up again. Just to drag in some more buyers, and it's on the daily, it's in a good zone. It's overextended to the downside, but the weeklies are sort of coming off the highs, potentially anyway. That's materials. Metals and mining, same sort of bizzo there, pretty much identical. XJR, I don't want to worry about that. Same. Utilities, essentially, utilities not too bad. Just look at this. Look at this price action led to a good rally. It's looking like it's setting up the same. You know, it's extended down below here, potentially with this move down through 80. Extend, bang, turn around and heads back up. Just keep an eye on it. It's not, the key level's way down, so it's got a lot of room to move. It's only sort of a retracement of this leg up. It's only probably 30 to 40% retracement of that move up, so prime position for continuation. Solid selling down here, hasn't got it very low, but you can see the strength has been quite good. Oversold, so this could easily turn on a dime and bang back up. Keep an eye on that sector, I'd say. So yeah, that's getting belted. Telecommunications, forget about it. Gold. If that rolls over, you expect a bit of action. You know, it's holding through here. It's more of a consolidation than anything else to me. This pattern through here between 4,000 and 5,000. So just see how we go there. That's probably, you know, this could easily pop up, build a higher low here, especially if the overall market finds a bit of weakness. Maybe, you know, gold kicks up, gives a bit of support to these stocks. That's your gold sub-industry. So your small cap gold stocks, I guess, or your gold producers, development miners, whatever you want to call them. XEC, what's that one there? Emerging companies. I'm not too interested in that. And XN. Industrials, looking a bit heavy there. That's potentially lower high. So just keep an eye on that one. If you're in that, had a good run up. Key levels way down here, so this could easily retrace a bit down to 53, 54. You know, 1, 2 second legs down, then build a higher low and go. Still within that longer term trend up. So a bit of action. There's a bit of a mixed bag there, but definitely it's worth going through those just to pick out which sectors could be running a bit hot, which have got good potential, and then just sort of focusing on the stocks on those within those sectors. XJO itself, for me, still looking a bit heavy in here, especially today. It's down on that 56, so who knows with this XJO, and it's where it's been consolidating through there. What I don't like, actually, let's just get this in a bigger chart. What am I doing? XJO. Get this in a bigger chart here. It's because it looks prettier. Now I like that. Oh, sorry, I don't like it. What am I talking about? You can see that. You can see it's quite clear through here. It's just been banging around. Even that lower high is holding. You got this most recent lower high. So it could just bounce off this level, pop back up, another lower high. So in between, you're really just range trading. It's just this type of action that I don't like as much. You got this little move down, pop up, lower high, extended down through a few lows, and we've tried to go back up, another major lower high, and we're extending through now. But maybe, if you break it down over the last few days, a couple of negative days, a positive day, then a few more negative days. So this could just be maybe, just keep an eye on it, maybe a room to bounce, a zone to bounce off here, 56.50, thereabouts. We'll have to see how it goes. But if it starts extending down, 5600, then I'm getting a bit more negative on that. This market this is the daily, still got some room to move. We can still get some sellers to pressure it in, push down to oversold, and this just get blast through 5600. The weekly, what's the weekly saying on the stochastics? The weekly is getting to that oversold point as well. So, it's been like this for a while now, and it's definitely just worth keeping an eye on. We're going to be stuck in this range if we are. It all comes down to I think, being a bit more proactive on your shares. If you're picking some good setups and you got some gains, so we can see on our portfolio we're ever so slightly grinding high. We've had some good winners, but also the winners are not going on like they used to because the overall market's capped. It's been capped between these two levels, so we got some really good winners. They look great, and then they just turn to stop on a dime, stop us out, booking a small gain rather than just being those big runners. We're not getting any of those massive runners. We got ORE, which has done well, but just looking at it, and I'd say that's a function of the overall market at the moment. So it's worthwhile just keep an eye on them, pick your setups that you like, but being active on your exits. I mean, sometimes we've been chipped out, so be it. But it's been sort of a mixed bag. It's been hard to put on overall gains, some good overall gains on the portfolio. Not going down at all, but it's just grinding higher, grinding a bit lower, grinding more higher, a bit lower. It's bad English, isn't it? Anyway, any questions just on that before I get into the ASX just on the open? Let me just get the charts up. My little ASX picks. So all right, so this is what, there's no question, this is what we're looking at. This was last night. I think it was just on the close. So it was just prior to the reopen for the night session at 5:10, I think it is. This is the SPY 200, the futures. I know that a lot of people don't trade it. We're just interested in stocks, but it's worthwhile just looking at the process my thought patterns, I guess. Again, if this did go up, I wouldn't bother telling you because I don't want to tell you I was wrong. But the fact that it worked out quite nicely, and it played out beautifully, actually, it's worthwhile just chatting about the thought process behind it. You can see what I've marked up this longer term support, and you can see with that push down yesterday and coming down and just washing out support at 56.84. That to me, you can see it's contracting here and it's breaking out to the downside of contraction. That could be viewed as a washout, obviously, and then we get a higher low. But the probability that this pressure on the downside is going to continue is a lot higher for me anyway. And especially a lot of this, when we got this big sell off, washing out a support zone and then bouncing back. To me, that's like clearing the way for another move down. You got those stops, they get suckered in. Sell stops potentially are down here. Anyone that's gone long through here, got a sell stop below that, that key zone, getting washed out of the market. It's popped back up, and then you're building for a move lower. What played out, I think I sent this out this morning just to continue having a look at it. You can see that it bounced back last night. We did push down, down and then back up like we were expecting last night. Getting a bit choppy, so to bring in some more sellers, wash them back out again, and then potentially, where'd I go? Giving them a bit of confidence to, and this sort of move down is bringing the buyers back in and giving them a bit of confidence to potentially just get washed out and be fuel for that move down. Now, if we go down and see what happened, okay, it's pushed back down, built a high low, popped back up, and we closed just up near those previous highs at 57.03. Now, this is a different contract. This was a September contract, so the prices are slightly different on this level. It's at 13, not 03, but this is the December contract from this morning. We rolled over this morning, so it's worth, but pretty much you can see those levels. The same thing was playing out. Got the high low. We finished short of that 57.03 high, and so this morning I expected a big wash out of that level. clean that level out, which it did, and then roll over from there, and then just potentially target 56.72, and then, you know, if it was a really weak market, which it's turned out to be that way, to really roll over and push down to a major support. I can't remember, 56.45 by memory, 56.40, somewhere around there. Played out to a T, played out beautifully. For a short, you may have struggled. I mean, and again, this is the key thing. Oh, sorry, one last thing is why I was looking at that. You can see how this market's extended to the upside. It's really overbought, stretched just below this resistance zone. So that's a prime zone where, okay, if you think it's going to go up and you want to buy, just keep in mind that it is stretched. So what you're expecting is there's a lot of buyers who have stepped up to the market. You want a lot more to step up to the market to convict you. If you're going to buy, and if you think there's a Finet group of buyers, how many are in? Are they 80% in? Are they 50% in? If there's, you know, say 100 buyers and you've got 50 stepped in, okay, this potentially could ramp up through, but you wouldn't think it would be overbought. So overbought, suggesting to me out of those 100, you've probably got 90 that are willing, have already bought it and have already pushed the market up, and it's still struggling. So you've got 10 people that really, if you want to make a profit and be, you know, one of those 10 making a profit, this market has to kick up higher, and there's got to be a lack of selling, complete lack of selling. And I find that that's a low probability trade just to buy and thinking that's going to break up through 57.03 and just keep going. Could easily pop up, pull back, build a high low, and then go again. And that's where, I mean, you're not going to buy it on the break there. You're not going to sell it, sit on the offer. You want to see that lower high play out. And if we just go to let me just look at a chart, find where it is. This is a 5-minute chart, so you can see washout, beautiful, 57.03. Opened up there, washed that level out, and just sold down. Bit of a bounce off that support, 57.70, 56.73. If you can go down to a lower time frame chart, you would have found a nice little entry off that, and then selling it, minimize your risk, and then you've got the extension through. So, and another thing I did look at after, you can see this move down. If you measure that, you measure it from this zone potentially as a lower high, major lower high. Measure that down. It's taken you actually gone on with it a bit more. But that's probably because you've got that major support zone that's starting to wash out now at 56.45. That was on the actual other contract. So somewhere around 35 to 45. And that's where it is now. So that's probably a really nice example of just knowing what you want to see, setting your trade up. You know, there's really good potential on that short in there on the ASX. And just knowing that, okay, if that extends, we get that little extension, where's it going to go to? There's a major support zone at 56, say 40. It could potentially easily extend that, test that zone, and you've got a nice little short on your hands there. So does that make sense there, guys? Just what I jabbered on about. Fire away if you've got any questions before we get stuck into the shares. But I think I'm guessing what I'm trying to say is that planning out that trade, knowing exactly what you want to see and the potential risk reward, going from that 30-minute chart, which is here, the risk reward was quite high. You know, blow out there, even if you just fall short, build another high low, you still got some points up your sleeve if you manage to take one when it's, you know, even if you just pulled the trigger. I don't like that type of trade, but pulled the trigger through this zone around 46.94. Your risk reward could have been, you know, say a 10-point stop, taking it down to this zone. What did I say? 94 down to about 74. That's a 20 points there. So 2 to 1 just on that. Just that was the premise. So it's really just a matter of each individual person knowing how you want to trade, how you want to enter the market, and knowing what your risk rewards are. Sometimes if you're trading the SPY futures, they're $25 a point. So risking 10 is 250. But even then, if you got your risk reward lined up, you think you're going to go down to the support zone, it's still worth it, isn't it? I mean, 2 to 1, $500, you're risking 250, with the potential of, if that extends it like it did, you know, holding on to it, seeing that sort of choppiness and going, okay, and now that you've got to extend in these lows, you can move your risk down here. You've locked in some gains. You've opened up the trade a bit more, and that's become, say, down to 50, even if you're getting off somewhere around 50. I've already forgotten. That's 45 points, isn't it? So what's that? That's over grand, $1,200. So that there alone is worth, you know, setting up your trade and knowing what your trade premise is in advance, so you don't get spooked out of the market, I guess. All right, let's get into it now. So I just want to go on to, I hope that was worthwhile. I just want to go on to, and this market's tipping over a bit more. Looking tad weak at the moment, so we'll see how this goes. What I want to take a look at now is, I've already forgotten, what am I going to say? Just a couple of shares, just while we're on it. Just something that's taken my fancy. You got, this is probably in a bad market. This is Seek. Look at that zone. Let me just draw that up a tad. I just want to get, I'm sort of, you know that your resistance is up here. Let's just forget about that for now. We've got, okay, we've still got it. Where am I? So we got Seek, you know, basically in a market that's looking a bit heavy. This one's not looking too bad. You've got support. You can see the high lows. We're coming up into that resistance zone. I don't mind this type of thing when you push up into resistance. You fall short, like we did at 1850. Your sort of key resistance is more 50 cents higher at 19. I don't mind when it falls short because then you get people exiting. You get that sort of blowout, but then buyers are stepping up. You can see quite clearly that buyers are stepping up here. We've got a bit of another strong move down. You can see it's moved down on that leg. We've pushed back up on the stochastic, so a bit of strength to push it back up. You can see it's kind of grindy. We've had another acceleration down into that zone, and that was quite good selling, quite strong selling. That's took us to overextend it on the downside, but it's holding up. We're starting to hold up here, so this has got potential as a potential long play. This is is that the weekly? Yep, that's the weekly. So it's really just going down to your daily charts just to see. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily buy it just here, but I'm just saying longer term, if this holds up and you get a bit of a test, another decent correction, say on the weekly, where we get a weekly high low, then it's worthwhile. But just looking for it to get out of that, you know, where do we have it? Out of that contraction. So it's probably got a fair bit more work to do, but just keep an eye on this one. I think it looks quite good. Next one, CM8. Dav had a look at this morning. That weekly, it's a bit messy back here, but just looking at that weekly, it's pressed down to support. It's starting to rise. You can get this weekly chart, especially, it's probably on the daily. It's probably just the last few days, it's really kicked up. So if there hasn't been any news, I'm expecting some news. And this is one of those charts. You mean, why has that happened? Look, I'm probably over analyzing that. But that one looks good. You can see that chart looks beautiful on a daily. If you had it through here, if you looked at it through 19.5, 20, that was prime entry, holding higher lows. Longer term is holding higher lows, looking fantastic. Could be more in this just by looking at that weekly chart. Just bear with me, guys. I can hear trouble is at the door. Sorry guys, back now. A bit of a minor interruption there. I'll just fix that camera up there. Alright, so got this one's actually looking good, CM8, so I do like that one. Kick it up. Let's get on to the next one. Just get ready guys, I'm just going to quickly go through a couple and then feel free to chuck into some, whatever code you want to take a quick look at, whack it into the chat. CM8, AC8. Well, it's not looking too bad. I was expecting it to be a high low around that 50 mark. And this could easily punch up, but I do like it, and I do have this myself. It's a AC8's a cannabis stock, and you can see it's had a good bit of a run up. Spent a good part of half a year consolidating, holding a high low, then had that good extension up. It's had a good pullback, so it's washed out a lot of this move up, you know, with this move back down. And then we're holding some high lows, so I just want to see it hold up here. You go back to the daily. We'll draw that up just to see what it's looking like now. I haven't looked at it for a couple of days. Is anyone following any of these here? So you can see that that's still holding. Oh, I'll draw that a bit clear. Look, it's holding the higher lows. We could just be going, so we might just spike through that 50 zone to 49, 48, and then pop back up again. But it's definitely, it's getting to that point now where you'd expect something to happen. It's either going to break lower, and okay, then we're not even going to bother with it, or it's going to break higher. I've actually got a buy alert if it can get up through 55. That way, because you can see this sort of moves washed out, say a few of these traders in here, wash them out. And if that starts kicking up and holding another high low, I think it's going to get some legs to it, maybe up to 65, even through that, and you sort of get this move up, potentially even up to 70. Or it could just do this, bang, blow straight through and head up to the highs at 90. You don't know. But I think it's got potential on this one. But it's all dependent on, you know, what happens over the next few days, I'd say, because I think this is coming to a head very soon, and something's going to happen you'd expect soon. It's just as of today, and I think it's probably the overall market down 55 points, that it's just struggling. But it's still, I mean, it's been around this 50 zone for quite a while now. You can see the last few days after this little spike high to 55. What was the other one? ACC8, we've got that. FMG, we've mentioned this as a short play. Didn't get into it, obviously, but it just didn't set up. I know you can sell it. We were looking at it just around 550, just prior to that move down. Just chuck in any questions you may have on the way, guys. If you think I'm talking rubbish, let me know. If you don't, it'd be nice to let me know as well. Who was I speaking to the other day said, you feel like you're talking to yourself, but I'm pretty good at talking to myself sometimes. Especially knowing my family listens to me anyway. All right. So this is sort of the setup. Oh, if we just go back to the weekly, sorry, I just want to show you. That weekly, you've had this big, strong move up. We all know it blew out. That was a key level for us. Remember we spoke about this quite a while ago, saying it was going to be a short. It's going to be a bit of a sell-off because it had that major level, and you probably have to go back a bit through that 7. You can see that. It punched up through 7. This is way back in 2011, but it's always going to be a longer-term zone for people that may be holding it, your technical traders, whatever. Good push-up. So it had a very good run-up into 7 without really any pullback at all, and it was a key level. So when we started getting some weakness, you know, that washout and then closing low on that day, then you got this push down, a green candle, we couldn't go anywhere, and then a couple of red candles. As soon as you broke through 6, you knew that the short was on. Well, so what we're looking at that stage anyway. So now, pretty much that's your leg down. I mean, your weekly leg down. We've reacted back up, and potentially we're getting the start of, I'd say now, just after the last few days, we're getting the start of a new leg down, and that could take us, if you just project that leg out from 7 down to, say, $4.50, $2.50. If you take it from 6, potentially $2.50, it takes us to $3.50, I think, somewhere down here. You know, that could easily retrace there, still holding longer term, but it's washing out a lot more of these traders that bought it all the way back up here. You know, someone that bought it in here might be holding it around $5 marks, going, oh, it was looking great, $2 up, you know, really doing really well. Held it through here, and seeing this type of price action rolling over again, they may start to bail, and that may trigger a bit of a domino effect. And that's the way you look at it, I guess. That's the way I like to analyse things a bit. Who's next to potentially get washed out of the market? You know, if you're sitting on profits here, what does Devon call it? The sweaty palms feeling when you've seen all these gains evaporate once. Potentially you're starting to, you know, then you got back up again. These blokes, you know, they're struggling. If they're still holding it from buying it above 6, they're going to be struggling. If they were out, and then you got this second wave, you know, people tried to buy it up here, looking for it to go on with it. It's not. It's starting to roll over, and that's the idea behind the second, the lower high, or your high low if you're going long. That's the idea behind it. So you're going to get people with sweaty palms that maybe bought it here, bought it somewhere around here, around 4, around 5. You know, even back in here, you do not want to see no one wants to see, you know, some good gains evaporate. So that's why you get these people washed out of the market, and then we get that secondary leg down. Don't know, it could fall short at 4. Who knows what's going to happen? But just down on that daily chart, it has headed down since it's actually dropped off quite a bit since we originally alerted through 550. But I just didn't get that lower high. I really just wanted to see it push through 540, rebound a bit, and build that lower high like this. That's, I mean, it still easily can play out that way. So now we've definitely got an idea, and especially looking at the daily, it's getting extended to the downside. Sellers are coming in pretty strong. If you get a pop up and you build that lower high, then we'll have some form of short on that one, I'd say, if it plays out nicely. So definitely, I think that's looking a bit weak. Some weakness entering into Fortescue. WBC we're short on also. If anyone's been watching, it's playing out all right today. We're short from 330. As I was sending out the alert, it was at 339 to sell at 330, and by the time I'm just about to hit send, it was going through 330 to 328, 27, bounced back up to 28, 29, 27. I had to just sit there and wait before I pressed the button, but happy to sell it at 330 anyway. Again, the same structure, one leg down, corrected back up, double top here, taken out the anchor just here at 31.50 recently, popped back up. Pretty much, this is like a bit further on from Fortescue, say, got that lower high, some weakness, entry through here, see what happens now. Just have to manage it. So pretty much we've got the premise behind the trade. On the short side, we just have to manage it as we go, and if it falls short, if we just take a loss from here like ANZ, turn around and just turn on a dime, bang, straight back up, so be it. But I think there's definitely weakness in Westpac, and this could coincide with weakness in the overall market if we keep grinding lower. Now, probably that could be it from me. I think we'll get on to, if there's anything you want to chat about now, guys, could be anything. Whack it into the chat. We've got SAS at the moment from Nisha. Have you got SAS, Nisha? That's I'm actually holding this. I think the fundamentals are looking good. It's just this technical. It's just, I think just recently I've been blown out of the water a bit. So I'll have to see if we can either just get out of this. If it bounces back at a lower high, then maybe exit it. It's only down a few cents at the moment anyway, but we are getting extended to the downside, and you can see this move. It's really just got to get people's, it's that old story we like to talk about. All this move up, just get back a bit. This move up, quite strong. What this is doing to me is just really washing people out of the market, getting some of those longs back on the sidelines, because if we want to make money, we need people to want to buy it. And if they are all holding, which they're not, if they're all holding it, there's someone selling. It's that move there that I don't like. We've got some key levels. We've got some levels down around that 15 mark, which we're right down on now. So it's correcting now. It's a complex correction, longer term correction. So now I'd say this has got a bit of work to do. We are extended to the downside. So potentially could react off here, but we're still holding those lower highs. If we react and we start building higher lows, then I think this one could be on longer term. We could be, this action here, this choppiness, this negativity has just washed out some late traders, put a few people back on the sidelines, watching it. Just watching it potentially for another re-entry, or it's pulling back to a zone where they're happy to buy, whether it be fundamentally buy or technically buy. I don't know. But I still think fundamentally it's a great story. SAS is doing well. They're kicking goals. They're doing the right thing. And they're hitting targets, what they said to the market. It's just that I think this selling is people just booking profit, really, getting washed out of the market. So we'll follow this one. I still think it's got a lot of work. If you haven't bought it, personally, I'll be holding off. And if I'm looking to buy some more, I just want to hold off to see, we've got this support zone here. We've come down into support. I want to see, even if we flush it out and then start holding some high lows, a bit of, buy, you can see evidence of buyers stepping into the market and holding high lows and then working its way up. And then maybe we start taking up, we've got a level up at here about 23, say. So it could easily move up there, say test the 23 or below. You can get a positive, if you can get it somewhere around 18, 17, you can still book something. But yeah, I think definitely this is one just to keep an eye on at the moment. Have it on your radar rather than buying smack where it is now. Linus, you open up old wounds, I'd say. I hate seeing this one. For anyone that knows, we had this, I'll have to check. I don't remember where from. We had this one. We got out at roughly around 11, so I think we had it below 10. It was somewhere around 9, 9.2, 9.3, 9.45, somewhere around there. Below 10 either way, say 9.5. We ran up to 11, so that's quite well. We got this little flush out in here. We got stopped out of the market there. Good run. Really just, I can't say much more than a stupid exit. There was no real reason to exit it there. We took a partial off there. And then I was probably, I guess, to be honest, probably got spooked out of the market on this one. Yeah, 9.1, all right. So really just spooked out of the market. But this prime zone for an entry, re-entry, I just missed it. I don't know what I was doing. Not looking at this trade, but this is why I find it hard to look at. That's a beautiful re-entry. Just in here, you got this little high. You know, you've got an inside high low, which we, anyone that follows us, loves us, knows that we love that. Just looking at that entry, that was ideal. Just running it back up through 11.5, say 12, getting it at 12. Then you got that move up to 16. It's just been holding high lows ever since. That's been a cracker. Another little entry through here, off some high lows. You can see that just that type of setup happens time and time again. It's just buyers are stepping up earlier. They don't want to miss the plate. Sorry, miss the boat. Bought it up. It got really started to get a bit extended up here, but you can see the move down. That kind of side was this low. That move down was quite solid, but the buyers were soaking it up, holding it up at higher levels, stepping up to the plate at higher levels. So that one there, yeah. Thanks, Nisha. This one brings tears to my eyes. All right. You got anything else we have a look at? It's going to make me cry. Anyone going to bring up some other ones we played wrong? Just to make me happy again, let's just look at ORE. This brings me back in play. That one's been a cracker. I like that one. You're welcome. All right. There's nothing else, guys. We just chuck something in the chat randomly. Just pick a code, any code. I'm sure I can rabbit on about something. Let's just go. Let's just take a look at this while we're waiting. This is ECX. Oh, that's nice. I like this. This is one I think I might have sent up an alert yesterday. And again, it's gone on a bit. It's getting extended, no doubt about that. But just look at the weekly. That weekly is, I really like that. This is ECX Eclipse Group Limited. I can hear Dennis the Menace out there running around. I know she's causing trouble. So look at that. Look at that move. You've got, if we can draw that a bit different, you've got some nice support through here. You can see it's banged even probably a bit higher. It's been banging around through there quite a few times. Oh, that looks horrible, doesn't it? That zone, and it's been banging in there. It's pushed up, come back into that zone. Buyers bought it up. Lower high. They took out that lower high. It's fallen back into that zone a few times off some lower highs, and the whole time that was correcting, but it's getting balled up. Bought up at that zone, so 40 to 50, 55, 340 to 355. Sorry, held up in that zone, and then you got this beautiful little. And this is the last area I like. This beautiful little move in here. Am I looking at the weekly? Yeah, weekly chart. All right, so that's prime. So then if you can draw that up, that's where it's probably a first sign. I'll go to the daily. It's just in here. This zone in here we want to focus on. When was that? The start of end of June. Here. All right, so this is... Oh, that's 6 months. Okay, that's it there. I'll draw that. This is why, you've got a contraction down here. And look at that. You've got that sort of channel, however you want to look at it. And that's all just going to be a higher low. You've got that major zone, say through, was it 45? 40, 50. The major zone here, and it fell short, and you can see this type of price action when it pushes down, has a good retracement, takes out the low, makes another lower low, but by a few cents, pulls all the way back up to nearly that lower high. That type of price action is quite good. I like that. And then as soon as you see that there's an opportunity probably way back at a push up through 370, again, we missed that one, off a major lower high, and that's taken quite a bit of time to play out, so that's probably sucked in a few more sellers exiting, and then it's turned around and retraced on them. And look at that powerful move up. Love seeing price action like that, and that's what makes it, I guess, it's worthwhile, isn't it? Really kicked on strong from there, and that's probably what you'd want to be looking at, and that's in context. Don't forget, this higher low, we're looking for an entry off a longer term higher low, expecting a powerful move up, and that's what played out nicely. I mean, if it didn't, if it fell short here, say at 380, you've got something in the bank anyway, and you could probably tighten up on risk, go to break even, whatever you want to do. But you're not risking much on that trade anyway. Off the daily, you start to really refine your trades off longer term price action. And you know that it popped up through 370. It's coming out of this contraction lower, starting to push up. You don't know if it's going to pop up, pull back, build another high low, and then go. You don't know if that's going to happen. Just clean this up a bit. You don't know if that was going to, on the entry, say 370, you got your wrist down here, you entered here. You don't know if it was just going to pull back, wash you out, put a bit of pressure, bit of heat, and then go. But either way, that was where you're going to be proven wrong. Proven wrong on a push through, back down through 360, and that's worth the risk because of this push up out of contraction. Definitely worth the risk. All right, we've got A2M, MMJ, Blackmores. Is that BB something? BB something? A2M, I don't know if it comes up. It does. A2M, we were playing this one for a while. Longs. Going for longs in here, getting washed out of the market. And in all honesty, I just took my eye off the ball on this one. It's great. That price action again, extension up, contraction, back to the MAs, reversion to the mean type trading, back up again, only really minor reversion, back up, acceleration, and then holding higher lows. So you can see the buyers just stepping in, constantly stepping in at higher and higher and higher prices. Now, I don't know how you would, this one's sort of taken apart all kind of technical analysis you can look at. It's just grinding high. I mean, you wouldn't have got stopped out if you're following it technically correct, meaning risk below the higher lows. Your risk here, maybe going back down to the daily, you risk you move it up here, potentially move it down just below 5, and if you entered somewhere around 2, then it's great. Just trying to pull out as much out of this move as you can. To me, it is obviously starting to look extended up here. It's getting away from the weekly MAs too, and it's potentially getting away from that daily MAs. It's starting to get a bit choppy. This move down was quite good. Starting to struggle on the daily. We just have to keep an eye on this one. Definitely a fantastic move on that. I wouldn't, honestly, I wouldn't buy it just up here. I could be wrong. It could just keep going, but I think, if I'm wrong, I don't care. I'd rather trade something else that it looks like a better setup with higher probability, more potential. I think this is running out of potential. Honestly, I think this one's been on the cards for a long time for a lot of people. If you're not in, you're probably going to get in a bit late. So I think there's that pool of traders you need to get into the market to continue it higher, continue that trend higher. Are we running out of traders? Are we running out of the people that are willing to get in at this high price after this strong move up? I'm not going to be one of them. I'm happy to leave it and look away and look at something else. But if you are, you've got to be wary of, are we at the top end of a move or not? I mean, if you buy it, it keeps going, good on you. That's great. There's nothing wrong with that. Never going to say don't do it. But if you get that daily set up, that price action, say something like this up here, and you get that little breakout, it's worth going for. But just realizing where you are in the overall longer term trend, so you're not going to get caught. MMJ. That's not J, is it? That's L. Nisha, what do we got here? The only thing I can say, it's starting to look like it's too early for me, obviously. Well, not obviously, but I wouldn't be buying this just yet, because you can see this move, and especially after we saw this, it's consolidated a lot around here. It's come up quite hard. If that was strong, it wouldn't do this type of price action all the way back down to where it started. I wouldn't expect that. So for me, it's not a super strong market at the moment. I don't know anything about what they do. Let's just take a look. Medical cannabis. There you go. Okay, so pretty hot sector. It's just at the moment it's maybe not looking the best. A bit like mine, AC8. AC8. Yep. So I wouldn't buy this just because I don't want to get caught. It is extended down here. One thing to be said, look at the weekly. All we can do is potentially view... Oh, no, we probably can't. No, that's not it. No, we can. Sorry, I'm just talking to myself, guys, if you're wondering what's going on. What I'm seeing through here is, you know, a bit of a low through that 20 mark, and then we potentially got at 30 a high-low building on the weekly basis. But you know, any sort of rush up has been met with good selling on the downside. You know, that's just profit taking. That's opportunistic trading, where people have bought it up, taken profits, and bang it straight back down again. So there's going to be people getting caught time and time again. The thing is, we've taken through that. We pushed up through that 60 with this run up. So I don't know what news has caused that, but we've had it all the way back down again. So that's washed out a few of these traders. And we're potentially starting to build, especially with this move up recently through 40, this little run up here. We're starting to build that high low. I think it's still got some work to do. So I'd be looking at that on a daily basis. Just with all this in context, if we've got that longer term high low building through 30, what can we expect? All right. If that's our high low, we're expecting from, you know, down here at 20, somewhere around 20. We've got this move up. A lot of people are being washed out of the market here. Spent a lot of time chopping through here, and you probably say through 40. You can see it's just had this little run up through 40. It doesn't mean that it can't just keep heading south. Take out 30 and just keep going all the way back down to 20. It is, you can see here, it's definitely on the stochastics, it's getting oversold, and we're starting to show some signs of holding up, maybe. But again, the way I'm viewing this, or the way I would view this, that's the support at 30. I'll just say, let's just draw it out. That's, what's that, 40? We've had this move down. We've had this push up through 40. It's come all the way back down to say, I'd like to see some action like this. Hold inside high low, and then potentially go, and you're getting an inside high low to work off, knowing that this is potentially going to hold a higher low again above 30, which is a major higher low in context to 20. So does that all make sense? So you get quite a few high lows working in your favor, and that's going to drag in buyers, potentially like myself, like others. It's going to drag in buyers, and you've got an inside level to work off. And again, that's putting us, like we say, it's going to put us in the unknown. And we want to trade in the unknown because it's got the highest potential payouts, if you can look at it that way. And those high potential payouts are going to make our overall statistics look really nice. We're going to have some losers along the way, but the idea is to have, you know, if you can get around 60 to 65%, right? That's trading, and you know, an average of 2 to 1, 3 to 1, maybe that's really good trading. It's good stats, and longer term you're going to make money. All right, so that's what we're aiming for on that one. We've got anything else? What was that? MMJ, A2 Milk, Blackmore's. What's Blackmore's code? Thanks, Linton. See you, mate. What was the other one? Blackmore's. What's that? BB. Let's just spell it. Black. Like BKO. All right. Obviously, you know, I haven't looked at this one for a while. Blackmore's. That on the daily chart is a bit ugly. I mean, that's come off, obviously, some news. Bang, straight back up. Let's look at the weekly. Just go back a step. Bloody good run up. I know Dav had that. That was one of Dav's all-time favourites, say, from end of 2014 all the way through. Just kept alerting that, trading that all the way up. And the way I know the way Dav trades things, he may take some off, re-enter. So he's essentially getting the bulk of that. And if there's no reason to get out, he'll jump back in again. You know, but he's always taking profits along the way as well, just to try to, you know, it does reduce your risk in that respect. Whereas if it does roll over, you've taken some profits, you're not going to get hurt on a lot, rather than just building one position and then get smashed on, you know, a move down. So yeah, he ran that up there, and what we've seen now, if we just drill in that, let's forget about that. So the latest price action, it is, let's just take a step back. It is potentially a high low in here, but you know, that weekly move up. Don't like my mouse. My mouse doesn't like me. We've got a few things. This is why, I mean, it's not that it doesn't look bad, it's just that I think it's got a bit of work to do. And you're probably getting, you know, maybe that 30 is a zone. We haven't shown any sign yet. We've just basically pushed up out of contraction. and this is the weekly too, and we're getting extended to the upside. We're just coming into a little resistance maybe at 120 bucks. We're coming into a bit of resistance there, so I would expect maybe we found the low, okay, at 30. Maybe we haven't. Maybe we just go chop, chop, bang, down again. We don't know. And more heat to come out of this market. But that grind low over the last 16, 17, year and a half has really pushed out a lot of these buyers. And maybe people are seeing this as value again, starting to push back into it. And you can see it just popping up out of contraction. For me, on that off the weekly, it's too early to buy. So dropping it down to the daily and just taking a look. Again, the daily is extended up here. So personally would not buy it just yet, but I think it's got the makings of a good longer term trade. If we get that pullback, and if we get that back to the weekly, bit of a pullback, and we start building that higher low, and I think it gives us something to work from. Higher low above 90, maybe around $100. Bit of a pullback. So anyone who's bought it here, opportunistic, get some sellers, bit of a pullback, build it higher low, and then I think longer term we've got something to work off. Does that make sense? That's probably about it. Look, we'll see if we can get through those two. WLD, they might be a bit quick, and then we'll probably call it a day. WLD, all right, we'll get through this one quick. It's not looking the best for me. We've got lower highs. There's nothing saying that it's popping up just yet. You can see on the weekly anyway. This move down here to 10. We're coming off this lower high up here. It's pushed down, extended down. It's popped back up. We haven't even got through 20 yet, and we're getting extended up there, so we maybe find a bit of selling just up here. Nothing just yet to say, for me anyway, to say whether this is going to hold up and just blast through. Maybe some news is going to tick it off. Up we go. Okay. Agri beef China. Okay. Look, could be some good signs in that one. But for me as a buyer, I'd want to see it. I want to see it prove itself. I don't want to get caught when you're buying it up here and this just becomes another sell-off, maybe down through 10 and we go down, down to 8, 6 and we stay there for a while and I'm sitting behind the 8 ball. I want it to be proven. I want someone to prove it to me. I want someone else to do the, always think of let someone else do the hard yards for you. Let someone else get it wrong for you, or let someone else to do the hard yards and build the support for you, just to keep you out of trouble. And if you can stick with that, that's probably going to keep you out of trouble. Sometimes it may, technically, it may leave you on the sidelines of something that moves all right. But I think the idea is that, we're all about risk. We're all about risk managing. It keeps you out of trouble. And that's what you always want to do. I mean, there's always another trade out there. Never get caught up in one thing. Never get caught up analysing too much and then falling in love with it and looking for the entry that's probably not there. Just go and look for something else. Look for another trade and stick with it. Hope that helps, but makes sense, or am I preaching a bit? But yeah, I think this one is probably one that needs to do a bit of work for me. I need to see a push up through 20. Start attacking it. Maybe a good correction, just because of that weekly chart. The weekly chart's doing nothing. It's just pushed up really the last few days. Don't know if that's some good news. It's getting extended. There's going to be some, ideally anyone that's bought it around this zone may be taking profit because it's just running out of steam. You probably saw that in today's action. We'll just have to see how it goes, but keep an eye on this one anyway. It's on its knees for sure, but whether it continues to stay down here, I want to see it get up through 20 before I'm really convinced of anything happening. Up through 20, pull back, build a high low, and then go. What else we got? ZLD. Let's get through that one, and that'll probably be it. What are we on the weekly? Zelda Therapeutics. All right, there's potential in this one, I would say. I think it's had a bloody good run up through, was it from 3 to 14? And that's that 10 trade. Look, it didn't even do the 10. If anyone knows what we're talking about, that 10-cent trade where it pushes up through 10, chops around. It just blew straight through it up to 14. A big move down, but we're still, longer term, we're holding those high lows. So if you're wanting to get involved, don't need that, do we? Well, look, we might be holding high lows. We might just be starting to struggle. Let's just take that out. So that, for me, if you go down, that's where, we got some reaction off that level. Bang, straight back up, push back down, and we reacted off that, support again. Bang. What we're doing now here is we've just gone through it. So maybe we've run out of buying, and don't forget you've got this pressure on the downside. So I'd probably think this is going to go through 7.5, and then from here, are we going to go into 5.5? Are we going to hold up? Who knows? But for me, I wouldn't. If I wanted to buy it, I wouldn't be buying it just yet. I just think this one could roll over a tad, just by quickly having a look at that. Again, there's better things to look at. Hope no one takes offence to my rubbish. But I hope if that makes sense, then you should just, by looking at that one, does that make sense to you what we're looking at? Do you analyse it the same, or do you look at it the same? I think what we get when we get these contractions, you get this moves between here. Okay, it's quite even. The fight between buyers and sellers is even until we get a break either way. And once we get that break, then you can look at one winning over the other one. And for me, it's looking like the sellers are starting to win over. They're starting to take control. They're taking more control than the buyers. Buyers may be giving up. They bought it here. They bought it here. They're not getting that conviction they want. And then anyone who's just bought it off here is starting to get proved wrong, around that 7.5 mark. So I think buyers might go, look, I'm just going to step aside. And then sellers, you still got that selling pressure coming in. So that for me is the story of this one. And it's really just sitting around waiting to see what happens. All right. Probably call it quits there, guys. I think I'm just running short of words to say. I hope you enjoyed that. What are we, Thursday? We'll be back in on Monday. So at 12:30 again. We're going to try a bit of a different style. We get a report out from, I think it's NRW Communications. They send us out a report now. So we're going to do a bit of work with them. They're good fundamental. They send a lot of good news. So if anyone wants to take a look, and we'll be analysing stuff that we like from their reports because they get a good news flow. They're not biased at all. They just send out some things that they're watching for companies that they do road shows for, and they just know that the news flow, they give a bit of a wrap to these companies, and if they look good to us, okay, we're happy to jump in and buy. So, but they're really good with their analytics, so we'll just keep an eye on that. We might see what comes out tomorrow, take a bit of a look at that, and pick out some ones that we really like to maybe discuss on Monday. All right. So anyway, thanks for joining me, guys. We'll be back in on Monday at 12:30, and we'll speak to you then. Have a great weekend.